everybody, welcome back. As you can see, I'm in the kitchen today. So I thought I'd take you along with me. I'm in the kitchen. And for those that are brand new to me, my name is Barbara. I'm in Tennessee in Zone 7A. On this channel, it's called A Gardener's Journey because that's what I talk about, my journey. I had never, ever put my hands in dirt 3 years ago, and now I can't keep my hands out of the dirt. So this channel is all about my journey as I have learned how to garden, how I'm still learning, how to homestead, all the things. And so today we're in the kitchen and we're gonna be making salsa. So what you saw me doing at the beginning of the video was we're gonna make bread today too. And I was just feeding my sourdough starter. So that's what you saw me doing. We're gonna let that get all active and bubbly, and then later on today, not on camera, but I'll be making bread. So I usually make bread once a week, and a loaf will typically get us through the week, and so I just keep it, you know, in rotation. So we're gonna make salsa, and I did a salsa video a couple of weeks ago on my channel, but today we're gonna do something different. We're actually gonna freeze the salsa. So in my previous video, I did roasted salsa and we canned it. So why am I doing more? Well, one, I got plenty of tomatoes. Two, I want to try this way and as a different way of preserving. And then I saw somebody else do it and they said it tasted fresher than the can. They liked both, but the one in the freezer just had a fresher taste, and maybe because it hasn't been cooked, so to speak. So that sounded really good to me. And then also today, I get to do whatever I want to do in my salsa because it's not a canning recipe. So when you're canning, you have to be exact and you have to follow the recipe if you want it to be safe. And in that canning video, I was kind of playing by the rules because that's what I do when I can. But today, since it's not going to be canned, then I don't have to worry about measurements. I can really just season it to my taste and add whatever I want. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm excited to try this. And then also, I've told you about this book before. This is one of my favorite books, especially during the preservation season. It's called Freeze Fresh by Crystal Schmidt. But basically, she shows you how to preserve 55 fruits and vegetables. She gives you the tips on how to preserve it. Everything is in the freezer. There's pictures and there's recipes on how to use that particular product. And it's all in alphabetical order. So I use this a lot during the summertime when I have a vegetable or something I've harvested. I'm like, what can I do with this? How can I freeze this, or how can I preserve it? If I want to freeze it, then there's an option in this book. And so, yes, she actually has a freezer salsa recipe. So in the section for tomatoes, you can see, let me show you. So like every crop has the heading of the different, and then she tells you how to freeze it, any special instructions, and then she gives you recipes on how to use it. So there is a marinara sauce that you can freeze and do. There is a salsa one, which we're gonna do, and I'm actually just gonna, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna use her recipe. I'm gonna use a shell of it and then just kind of blend a whole bunch of different stuff, different recipes together. I mean, salsa is a basic, you know, tomatoes, onions, peppers, that type of thing. And then you can kind of season to taste. So that's what we're gonna do. I am gonna roast it again. Hers does not call for roasting. But when I tell you roasting the stuff just brings out the flavor. And today, I'm actually gonna roast all the veggies. Last time I did it, I just roasted the tomatoes and that was it. And then everything else was fresh or raw. This time, we're gonna roast all of it. So let's jump into it. Now, my tomatoes are already ready to go. They're already chopped up, and mostly these are cherry tomatoes. I would say 80% of these are cherry tomatoes. 10% are like a paste, which is aroma tomato, which is a paste tomato. And the other 10% is some slicers. It's what I had, and I have been trying to make the salsa for the last 3 or 4 days. But you know, it takes time, and something just always came up. And I was supposed to make it yesterday. We had company that pretty much stayed half of the day. You know how that goes. And with me being married to a minister, there's lots of company. So anyway, they stayed. I didn't get a chance to get my projects done. So last night, as I was doing dinner, I decided, let me go ahead and chop up my tomatoes so at least that part will be ready. And it made me feel like I got halfway done, so to speak. So these tomatoes are already chopped up and ready to go on the baking sheet. So let's see We should have enough that covers the whole sheet. Just enough. And probably the pan is not big enough. Let me get some tongs. So you can see for the cherry tomatoes, I just kind of cut those in half. These tomatoes look so good. So very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and salt these. I didn't do this a lot. Last time we didn't do anything but put them on here and then put them under the broiler. But I'm gonna go ahead and salt these. Because again, I don't have to follow an exact recipe. And I'm also gonna drizzle some olive oil on it. Let me grab my olive oil. Okay. So that's ready to go in the oven. We're gonna go ahead and put that up top. And I think last time I did 500. I'm almost sure I did 500. Let's just do that again instead of 450. Okay, so then what we have to do is do our onions, garlic, and peppers. And we're gonna also put those in the roaster. Another reason why I am doing salsa in the freezer is because when you're preserving your food, it's good to preserve it many different ways and don't just use one method of preservation, right? So last year I did spaghetti sauce and I did some in the can and it ended up being more when I preserved it. So I also did some in some freezer containers and I'm glad that I did because I ended up losing some in my root cellar because we had a humidity issue and it got mold on it. And so I ended up losing my jars of spaghetti sauce. I had only used one. I lost all the rest of them. But I had 4 things in the freezer. So I didn't do it for that reason. It just ended up being that way, that the day that I canned it, I had more than I thought and I didn't want to sterilize. I didn't want to do more jars and keep doing the canner. I don't know what happened that day, but I didn't want to do it. And I'm glad that, so I just put it in the freezer and it worked out to my favor. So ever since then, and I need to wash these onions. Let me see if I can get a. So ever since then, when you work so hard to can something and then you lose it, you're like, oh my goodness. Now freezers can go out, all of that kind of stuff can happen as well, which is why, again, you can preserve it multiple different ways. Because I had some in my freezer, I still had spaghetti sauce for the year because I didn't can it all. And so now they just taught me a lesson to always diversify the way that you preserve your stuff. So I dehydrate, I freeze, and I can. I do all the things, right? So anyway, let me wash these onions and then I need to go grab another onion as well and then I'll come back. Okay, so I got the onions washed. So I'm just gonna slice these into, yeah, not anything major. Like I'm not gonna dice them up because the food processor will do all that. Let's go ahead and drizzle this pan. With some olive oil. And we'll just toss them in there. Okay, so we'll just keep slicing these. No rhyme or reason, just putting them in here like that because the food processor will end up blending them up. And I'm not measuring anything. I'm really just eyeballing it because, again, it's going in the freezer, so it's going to be to our taste. And because it's not going to be canned, it does not have to be anything exact. But I figure these roasted onions and all the roasted stuff with the tomatoes, fresh tomatoes from the garden, is going to be delicious. Let's see. Uh-oh. So let me know in the comments, what is your favorite way to do your tomatoes? besides salsa? I would love to know in the comments because I got plenty of tomatoes in my freezer. So I need some ideas besides spaghetti sauce. Okay, so now next are the peppers. And again, I'm just gonna put these in here semi-whole. Just cutting the stems off and then cutting them lengthwise. I probably should have on gloves, but I'm gonna wash my hands right after this. That's 3 jalapeno peppers. I'm gonna go ahead and do 5. And I'll meter out what I put in. So I won't put all 5 into the food processor at the same time. I don't think. We'll see. That should be good. Okay, now our garlic. And I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put the onions and the peppers in, because garlic can tend, if it overburns, sometimes it doesn't have a good flavor if you over roast it, so to speak. So I'm gonna put that in there like next to the last 5 minutes because I wanna make sure it doesn't burn. So let's just toss these and stuff in the olive oil. I just drizzled a little bit on there. And then let's also add just a little bit of salt to these veggies. One of the things to add flavor is that you season at every level. And then those are looking good. I'm thinking 15-20 minutes and that'll be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and get my garlic peeled. And then we'll put that in there. I'll get my food processor ready so that when it comes out, we can blend everything together and get the rest of my supplies and we'll be good to go. So I'll bring you back. Okay, that is not taking long at all. We got some charring on the top. I think I'll put the tomatoes back in there just because it's a lot on here and all the pieces are not charred. You want that charring because that's gonna give you the nice roasted flavor. Let me see if I can bring you closer. You can see we already got some charring on the peppers. We're gonna go ahead and add our garlic and put these both back in there for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then we should be good to go. Now, obviously, if you don't want to roast this stuff, you don't have to. But to me, it takes the flavor to another level. We'll go ahead and put our tomatoes back in here and try to get some more charring while we not chop up, but get our garlic ready. Okay, so here you see me checking on the tomatoes again. As I'm pulling it out, you can see it is definitely being charred on the top, and so I got more charring done. I'm here pulling out the onions to check them and to add in the garlic. You see me just tossing it around in the oil to just kind of evenly distribute the peppers and the onions. There was some charring a little bit on the onions, but you'll see that I'm going to put those back in the oven to continue charring as well. So I'm just making sure that all is looking okay. The house was smelling amazing with all of the stuff roasting. And so now I'm going to put the onions back in the oven to finish what they were doing. And then we're going to get ready and start processing our tomatoes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try to start handling the tomatoes. I put the onions and stuff back in there because I want the garlic to get a little bit more brown. Let's see if there is a good way to do this. Just trying to find a way to put it in the food processor. And I'm not taking the skins off. I'm just gonna let the food processor do its thing. Let's see. And then I'm gonna transfer. Okay, I blended up a little bit of the tomatoes. Now that the onions and stuff are ready, we'll go ahead and add those in as well. I'm only gonna do, let's try with 3 peppers. So I'll leave some of these peppers in the thing in case it gets too spicy. So I won't do all of the jalapeno peppers. It smells so very good. I don't know if I have enough onions, garlic, and peppers. Like I said, I just eyeballed it. We shall see how it all turns out. Okay, that worked out good. Now, let's blend this up. Oh, I made a mess. I'm pulsing it because I still wanted to have a little bit of texture and not be completely pureed, but I don't want it to be chunky either. Let's see how this looks. See what that looks like? We'll try that and see. And we'll just keep doing the tomatoes and then we'll blend it all together. Okay, y'all, I thought I had y'all on, but I didn't. I gotta add some more spice to it. I tasted it tastes good, but it needs some heat. So I'm chopping up some more jalapenos. It tastes good. I've added some salt, lemon juice, cumin. I thought I was recording, but I didn't. I was just over here tasting away. That might have made it too spicy. See, I was talking and not paying attention. I didn't mean to put all 3 peppers in there to begin with, but let's take it out just in case. I'll take half of this out just in case it makes it too hot. And I didn't roast that part, the last few peppers, but it has a good flavor. Okay, let's taste it again and see if that gave it enough heat. A little bit, need some more. So let me get another clean spoon. We'll add that. We're gonna add all of that. Okay. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it with some of the sauce, put my thing back in here, and blend it up so that it kind of gets incorporated instead of me just mixing it. And then we'll just pour it back in there. Here we go. So that way it's more incorporated. So it'll almost taste as if that part was roasted, even though it wasn't. Then we're gonna stir this back up. Let's give it another taste test. Oh yeah, the heat is there. That did it. It needs some more salt. Oh, I can taste the heat for sure now. For sure. Add splash lemon juice. I can definitely taste the heat. I'll add some more cumin. And I was saying, I don't think you heard this part on video, is that the thing that is missing is cilantro, but I don't have any cilantro in my house. So what'll happen is I'll just buy some cilantro, and when I thaw this out and get ready to use it, then I can just put fresh cilantro in it, which won't be a problem. You know, cilantro will liven it right back up. And my husband, he doesn't like cilantro. Who knew? I love cilantro. I mean, he don't pick it out, but it's not his favorite taste, so he's not gonna care that it doesn't have cilantro in it. But then I can put cilantro in mine. I add a little bit of sugar for the sweet. That's good. That's really good. I got the perfect amount of heat that hits you in the back of your throat. I feel like I'm adding a lot of salt, but this little thing, it's little, so I keep adding this, but I definitely didn't put enough salt in to begin with. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more. I done messed up so many spoons, y'all. A little bit more sugar. That I think we are going to be good to go. Be interested to see how many containers we get of this. Awesome. Now let me go get a chip. Y'all know the real test is with a chip. Because the chips got a little salt on them. Goes good with the salsa. That's it. I thought the last one was good. That is good. Adding those extra jalapenos gave it just the amount of heat that it needed. The other one is not this spicy. That's like the perfect amount of heat. Then I got my little sweet in there. That's really, really, and I know y'all, I know I said it on the Canon one. That is good too. This right here, I cannot wait to see how it freezes, unthaws, and how it tastes after that. But if it tastes anything like this, this is like the taste of summer. So, so good. If this unthaws well and still tastes good, I can assure you this will always be in my freezer. Just imagine if you got somebody coming over. And I'm sure it wouldn't take long to thaw out. So I'm not gonna unroll that bag of chips no more. But this right here is good. Let's get our containers and let's see how many containers we have. If I had to guess, I have at least 6. Let's see if I'm right. Okay, so here are the containers that I'm using. It's a 16-ounce container. These are the ones that the lady from who wrote the book Freeze Fresh, these are the ones that she recommends. So that's what I'm using. They come in different sizes. You can do 8 ounce, 32 ounces. That might be the biggest size. So this is a 16 ounce, which is a pint. So we are going to see how many we have. Since I did the other ones in pints, my can jars, when I take this out of the freezer, this will be like the same, same size measurement. So let us fill our, not jars, but our containers and see what we have. It smells good. It tastes good. I love seeing the dark roasted part where it's roasted like the little charred pieces. I love that for sure. And like I said, I didn't measure anything. I don't know how many pounds of tomatoes it was. It was enough to fill up a whole sheet pan. And that was supposed to be all my tomatoes in my house. I just literally cut those tomatoes up last night. And I'm like, I finally got my counters taken care of with the tomatoes. I don't have tomatoes hanging all over my counter on every counter. And guess what? I got tomatoes on my counter. Okay. Yep, y'all, I guess right. I have enough for 6. We're just gonna top these off. I'm telling you, if this unthaws, get all my stuff. If this unthaws, y'all, and it still tastes good, this is a winner. This is a winner. So far, I like these freezer containers. I did pesto last week and I put it in the freezer. They seem really, really sturdy and I like that. So I haven't used them and unthawed anything out of them as of yet, but I like the way the lid fits, really secure. I like the fact that you can stack them as well, so it saves space in your freezer. And that's another thing. If you are running out of space, like with your canning jars, you don't have a root cellar or your pantry is not big enough, freezing is also another way to preserve your items. And again, you gotta have freezer space, obviously. But sometimes people have more freezer space than they have pantry space, or vice versa. But I like to try all the things. The thing is just making sure the top is on there really, really good. And I got a tomato mess to clean up. And y'all, that didn't take long. That didn't take long at all. Like if I wasn't talking to y'all, I could have done that. Had them in the oven maybe 20 minutes, paraded up, got my seasons just right. I could have done it easily in 45 minutes, easily. So y'all, we have 6 containers of freezer salsa, just like that. And then I thought my tomatoes were not done. Like I knew I was gonna have some more, but I was celebrating last night because I had all my counters clear of tomatoes. My husband's out there, supposed to be weed eating, and he came in, because y'all know how he does. He loves to harvest. He came in like this with no basket, tomatoes all in his shirt. Let me show you how many tomatoes are on my counter now. Y'all see that? Tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. 2 baskets right there, and then all of these on the counter. Just like that within 24 hours. I'm not complaining, but thank you guys so much for joining me as we made salsa today. I'm excited about my salsa. I'm gonna let this cool a little bit before I put it in the freezer, but we have 6 pints of homemade freezer salsa. Everything that went in there came out of the garden. So it's going to be the taste of summer this winter as I get me some salsa and chips and go to town and put it on my tacos, nachos, and everything else Mexican. It'll taste like summer. And when it's cold outside, I'm gonna remember this day hanging out with you and the work that went in. So it's a busy time of the year. I am in heavy preservation. I'm in heavy harvesting. I'm in heavy transition to fall. So it's really, really crazy right now. I know that it won't last this way always. I know that it will calm down in just a few weeks. It'll be fall, and the pace in fall and winter is so much slower than the summer, and I'll be able to catch my breath. But until then, I'm gonna keep on preserving, keep on harvesting, and keep on planning for the fall. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you have extra tomatoes, if you love salsa and you've never tried it frozen, I encourage you to try this recipe. It tastes great. Now, again, it's my first time doing it. We haven't put it in the freezer and unthawed it and eaten it yet, but when I do, I will let you know. So if you like what you're seeing on this channel, please subscribe. Remember, gardening is a journey. This is all part of the journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.